Hello everybody, so welcome to my channel ManojWeb, where my goal is to make your front-end life easier. In today's video, we're going to be creating a horizontal carousel in under 5 minutes. So the time starts when I start coding until the end of the coding. So let's get started. So first course of action is obviously creating a div with all the images and both the buttons in there. So I created a left button, all the images, and the right button. And then the next obvious course of action is obviously styling the body, adding a good background color and black. Let's see what that's horrible. Let's add pink and red. Yep, let's center everything. Alright, I just added a flex on the carousel and container to center everything and horizontally align the images, and I'm just adding a width and height on the images. And this is what it looks like right now. So let's just add some scrolling on there as well. Alright, so let's give a background color to the images to see them more clearly and center everything. Okay, why is it starting at 3? So, okay, that's a problem. You guys enjoy a meme break while I fix that. Alright, so the problem was with the justify content I have here. Once I've done that, it fixes the problem. Okay, now let's move on to the next thing. Let's style the buttons now, the right and the left buttons. Position absolute, let's do left and top and bottom 0, and then left for the left button and right for the right button. Set that to 0. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, it's not supposed to do that, so I see what the problem is. Now let's change the size and add a background color. That should already look a whole lot better. Yep. Alright, so let's just add a border radius. That already looks better. Now let's add some styling for the hover effect. Change the background color and add the transition, and that already works much better. Alright, next step is to add a hover effect on the image themselves. So let's add a transition and then add a hover effect on it. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks really good. That gap is horrendous, so let's get rid of that first, and then we can start adding the images of the One Piece live action cast for each of the blocks. So we'll have Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji. Alright, so I've added all the images: Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji. Now let's see what it looks like. Okay, Luffy's picture is way too big, but all the rest of them fit, so I just gotta fix that. Alright, so my solution is just giving them that class instead and adding a background image instead of creating an image element. So let's give them a class and then create a background image for each of the classes, and also create some background criteria on the dot image class because each of them share the dot image. And let's copy that for the rest of the straw hats, and that should already start looking a whole lot better. So let's do this. Yep. And yeah. Alright, yeah, so all of them fit now. That's perfect. Now it's time to move to the JavaScript, but let's plan something. To use the JavaScript in order to move to the correct spot, we'll use a method called scroll_to. In the scroll_to, you can tell it how much you want to move in the X direction and how much you want to move in the Y direction. We only have X direction, so that's why we will do it. Alright, so now that we know how it works, let's see it in effect. So I'll go 500 pixels from the left, because our width is 500, and in a smooth behavior, this is what it looks like. So it starts at 0. Now I've added the current left, so how much we're going in the increment, and now we'll start adding the event listener on the buttons themselves. Alright, so let's add a click event listener and increase the current left by the increment, and let's create a function to move to positions because we're going to be using it for the next and the back button. It'll just scroll to whatever the current left value is, and it'll do it in a smooth behavior. So let's go back to the event listener and increase current left by 500 and move to that position. But also let's make sure it doesn't go overboard, over the limit. So we'll modulus it by the max it can go. So the length of all the images times the increment, and also let's change the 500 to the increment. Alright, so it seems to be working. The only problem is with the position, so let's make that fixed. That should make it on the sides, and it's working. Alright, for the back button, I just copied and pasted the next button, and instead of using a modulus, I'll be using an if condition to check if it's equal to 0, so it can go back. and in the else condition it'll just subtract the increment, and also it should be length -1. So let's make that length -1, and that should work pretty well. So let's go, and that should work. So back, it goes all the way to Sanji and it moves back, and when you go right, it'll move to the right. So we've pretty much got the basics down. Now let's just move the arrows back to the carousel. And that can easily be done by making the position sticky, and that works perfectly, as you can see right here. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see the code, you can go to CodePen using the link below. And other than that, there's nothing else. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video.